Dr. Linnell Butler is a dedicated medical doctor who graduated in 2019 and has since worked and gained valuable experience in the fields of emergency medicine. Her academic journey began at the College of the Bahamas, now the University of the Bahamas, where she earned a Bachelor of Science in Biology with a minor in chemistry in 2014. Her career is distinguished by a rich interdisciplinary background, having served as a flight attendant from 2004 to 2014, developing a strong foundation in aviation safety before transitioning to healthcare. Dr. Butler's professional path has been shaped by her diverse experiences in medicine, patient care, public health, and policy, with a particular focus on emergencies related to trauma, climate, and pandemics. She is currently pursuing a master's in public health with palliative care research from the University of Dundee in Scotland, UK, and works at the Ministry of Health and Wellness in the Office of the Chief Medical Officer, where her portfolio includes climate change and health, among other health initiatives. Recently, Dr. Butler attended the 78th World Health Assembly in Geneva in May of this year and participated in COP29 in Baku, Azerbaijan, further advancing her commitment to global health and environmental policy. Outside of her professional life, she is a proud swim mom to a university sophomore and enjoys traveling and reading in her spare time. So let's do a round of applause for Dr. Linnell Butler.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, colleagues, and friends, thank you for the opportunity to address you today on a theme that resonates deeply with each of us: people, planet, purpose, pressing onward from awareness to action. In a world increasingly shaped by the realities of climate change, this theme is not just a call to action, it is a mandate for survival, resilience, and hope. Here in the Bahamas, we are no strangers to the impact of climate change. Our islands, communities, and our very way of life are at the forefront of climate-related health challenges. Rising temperatures, more intense hurricanes, and shifting disease patterns are not distant threats. They are present realities. So when we consider our health, in keeping with the World Health Organization's definition of health, which is a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being, and not merely the absence of disease or infirmity. Yes, that was quite a mouthful, but it is an achievable feat for people, animals, and planet. In our response to our present circumstance, being an archipelagic nation amid the largest health threat of the 21st century, which is climate change, the Bahamas has developed the Health National Adaptation Plan, or HNAP. The HNAP is a comprehensive roadmap designed to safeguard the health of all our people in the face of climate adversity. And it is more than a document. The HNAP is a living, evolving process that guides our nation from climate health awareness to action over the next 5 years and beyond. Based on the WHO's operational framework for building climate-resilient health systems, 10 components were identified that guides this roadmap of strengthening the existing healthcare system into a climate-resilient one. The 10 main components include leadership and governance, health workforce, vulnerability, capacity, and adaptation assessments, integrated risk monitoring and early warning, health and climate research, climate resilient and sustainable technologies and infrastructure, management of environmental determinants of health, climate-informed health programs, emergency preparedness and management, and last, but by no means least, climate and health financing. Each of these 10 components are developed into adaptation measures to be rolled out across the health sector, transforming health systems in both mitigative and adaptive outputs. The process of the HNAP is dynamic and iterative. It begins with initial implementation or rolling out. This is followed by monitoring and follow-up of key indicators to track progress and identify gaps. It is important that indicators, whether health, economic, or socially related, are SMART, meaning they are specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time-bound. Next comes assessment and diagnosis, a critical phase where we evaluate the HNAP's components that are working well. And finally, we engage in review and adjustments where needed, affirming that our actions remain aligned with national priorities and the evolving needs of our people. And again, throughout this process, we adhere to the WHO's operational framework for ensuring resilient, climate-smart health systems. At the heart of this HNAP movement is the Ministry of Health and Wellness's Climate Change and Health Unit. This dedicated team is translating policy into practice, ensuring that adaptation measures are not just discussed, but implemented. Some of our most recent milestones include partnership with the Ministry of Environment and Natural Resources in commemoration of Climate Emergency Day 2024 in Rawson Square. This event was more than symbolic of threatening atmospheric temperature rise above 1.5 degrees Celsius, which is the critical temperature threshold point to ensure mankind's survival as we know it. But it also served as a rallying point for policymakers, partners, and communities to reaffirm commitment to urgent climate action. The Bahamas' participation at COP29 last November in Baku, Azerbaijan, was highlighted as one of the most impactful representations of the Caribbean. The delegation was led by Prime Minister Philip Davis and the phenomenal climate change team at OPM, which included our climate youth ambassadors. And it was further supported by ministries of youth, the environment, health, energy, and foreign affairs. The team engaged and hosted several bilateral meetings and side events at the conference that highlighted our newly developed HNAP, youth empowerment in the climate change space, and other outputs of the HNAP, such as heat and health. With great anticipation, we look forward to our efforts at COP30 in Belém, Brazil this November, joining the global community, particularly small island developing states, in advocating for climate financing for those most uniquely vulnerable to the unrelenting effects of climate change. Of note, one of our most impactful initiatives has been the development of early warning systems such as the Heat Health Bulletin. This collaborative effort with the Department of Meteorology provides timely, actionable information to help our citizens prepare for and respond to extreme heat waves. By integrating meteorological data with public health guidance, this is a great example of mitigating heat exposure and injuries while raising climate health awareness and building climate health systems resilience. We have also begun developing guidelines and protocols for monitoring air quality and vectors that can result in disasters, again, making our health system more agile and resilient. As awareness is an integral step, it is the partnerships within communities that sustain action. The Ministry of Health and Wellness has leveraged the power of social media, launching a dedicated Facebook page to disseminate climate and health information, engage the public, and foster a culture of preparedness. We are also strengthening collaborations within ministry, working closely with units like the Disaster Unit, and engaging the public through events such as the recently held Health and Disaster Expo. These initiatives bring together experts, stakeholders, and citizens to share knowledge and build a united front against climate threats. Recognizing that climate resilience is a shared responsibility, we have established the National Climate Change and Health Technical Advisory Group. This intergovernmental, non-governmental organizations and private sector body is specifically designed to guide the HNAP's implementation of adaptation measures, monitor progress, and ensure that our efforts are evidence-based and effective. But perhaps the most transformative HNAP output is investment in youth and academic institutions, partnering with universities and colleges to integrate climate and health into curricula, stimulate research, and inspire motivation. We are empowering young Bahamians to pursue studies, careers, and fields that align with national priorities, such as public health, environmental science, disaster management, and sustainable development. Through scholarships, mentorship programs, and internships, we are nurturing the next generation of climate leaders. Our goal is clear: to create pathways for young people to turn their passion into purpose and their purpose into action, ensuring that sustainable and resilient development of the Bahamas is driven by talent and Bahamian talent and ingenuity. As we look ahead to full implementation of the HNAP by 2030, we recognize that success depends on more than just good ideas. It requires sustained investment. That is why we developed a comprehensive health concept note through a series of public and private consultations and workshops. This concept note, now submitted to the Global Climate Fund through the accredited entity of the Caribbean Community Climate Change Center, is a critical step towards securing some $50 million in financial resources needed to fully turn our HNAP vision into reality. This process reflects our commitment to transparency and partnership. By engaging stakeholders from across society, we are ensuring that our adaptation measures are not only effective, but also equitable and responsive to the needs of all Bahamians. In closing, let us remember that our greatest asset is our people, especially our youth. By building national capacity, fostering innovation, and securing the resources we need in health, we are laying the foundation for the Bahamas that is not just surviving, but thriving in the face of climate change. Together, we are not only adapting to climate change, we are shaping a future where the health of our people and the planet is protected, cherished, and sustained for generations to come. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Butler. You did a way better job than I would at explaining the HNAP, so thank you for that. Let's do another round of applause for Dr. Butler. So up next, we are actually going to have a panel on common health, centering people and planet in Bahamian healthcare. And Dr. Butler is, I already introduced her, she'll be joining us on this amazing panel. So we'll have Dr. Calais Philippe as our moderator. Dr. Philippe is a senior medical officer in the Ministry of Health and Wellness with over 20 years of medical, technical, administrative, teaching, and research experience. She served as a designated focal point for climate resilient health systems from 2020 to 2025, and the project coordinator for climate change and health projects, and led the development of the first Health National Adaptation Plan and the first Green Climate Readiness Proposal under the themes Developing and Strengthening a Climate Resilient Health System. She also supported the strategic publication of the first health system. The groundbreaking climate change and health interventions were supported and conducted in collaboration with the Office of the Prime Minister, the Department of Environmental Planning and Protection, the Caribbean Community Climate Change Center, PAHO and WHO Country Office, the EU Care Forum Project, the Climate Change and Health Project Team, healthcare providers, and communities in Abaco, Grand Bahama, and New Providence. She's also the principal investigator for the Climate Change and Health Knowledge, Attitude, and Practice Survey. and supported the Gender Assessment and Analysis Study. During her work in climate change, she also served on the National Climate Change Committee, the Project Steering Committee for Capacity Building Initiative for Transparency, and chaired the EU Forum Caribbean Project Regional Meeting. She participated in these projects while serving as an executive member of the Ministry of Health and Wellness, Medical Research and Oversight Committee, and the National Stem Cell and Ethics Committee. She also served as director of the Department of Gender and Family Affairs during the 66th session of the Commission on the Status of Women under the priority theme, Achieving Gender Equality and the Empowerment of All Women and Girls in the Context of Climate Change, Environmental and Disaster Risk Reduction Policies and Programs. She now serves Deputy Lead for the Longevity and Regenerative Therapies Unit and executive member of the LART Ethics Committee. She is also a member of the Regional Research for Action on Climate Change and Health Group as an associate member of the Trinidad and Tobago-based NGO Earth Medic/Earth Nurse. She participated in the launch of the first climate research action agenda for the Caribbean Small Island Developing States. She is currently participating in the She Leads program led by the Caribbean Women in Leadership, Bahamas chapter. She has a medical degree from the University of the West Indies, Mona Kingston, master's in public health from Johns Hopkins Bloomberg School of Public Health, and completed postdoctoral leadership, education in adolescent health fellowship in youth development prevention, research from the University of Minnesota. She has further qualified herself with the Yale Climate Change and Health Certificate, the Dalberg Climate Change and Health Public Engagement Leadership Certificate, and she holds a Principal Investigator Certificate from the American Association of Clinical Research Professionals. Teaching and research are two of her passions. She is also published in the Journal of Interpersonal Violence, the Journal of Adolescent Health and Medicine, the Lancet Journal of Climate Change and Health, and most recently in the PAHO WHO Journal. She is focused and determined to fulfill God's purpose for her in mentoring youth and engaging communities to work together to adapt to, mitigate against, and advocate for climate-resilient, healthy systems and communities in the Bahamas. She seeks to become an implementation scientist and premier researcher to improve the health and well-being of communities in the Bahamas and the world. So let's welcome the moderator, Dr. Philippe. I'll now introduce Garth Jackson. Garth Jackson Jr. is a project professional educator and conservationist with a dynamic background in science, youth engagement, and project management, currently serving as a project manager at the Bahamas National Trust. He helps to develop and manage national conservation projects, coordinate stakeholder engagement strategies, and support sustainable development initiatives across the Bahamas. His earlier roles include Science Department Head, Senior High School Educator and Outreach Coordinator, positions through which he empowered students and communities to champion ecological stewardship. Garth holds a Bachelor of Science in Biology with a minor in Chemistry and is a Certified Project Management Professional, PMP, with a track record of engaging students, community members, and policymakers. Garth continues to serve as a passionate voice for education, equity, and the environment. Let's do a round of applause for Garth Jackson. He's one of our panelists. Okay, so I'll now introduce Mrs. Christina Johnson. Christina is a mental health practitioner based in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. She provides therapy, coaching, and wellness initiatives through her private practice, Brightside Bahamas, while also serving as a mental health programming officer with the Ministry of Health and Wellness. Alongside her clinical and public sector work, she enjoys leading speaking engagements locally and internationally to promote mental health as a foundational aspect of our personal and collective well-being. She is especially passionate about addressing the mental health impacts of climate change in vulnerable regions like the Caribbean advocating for climate-informed mental health care as an essential part of health equity and resilience. So a round of applause for Ms. Christina Johnson. She'll join us on the panel as well. And lastly, I'll invite Mrs. Crystal Darling Sargent. Mrs. Crystal Darling Sargent is a passionate communications professional with a background in media production and journalism. With over 10 years of experience in media, journalism, and communications, she is dedicated to using storytelling to raise awareness about environmental issues and to equip young people to do the same, helping them connect with a global network of future leaders through various initiatives. Currently serving as communications officer at Brief, Crystal manages media and outreach initiatives and the Young Reporters of the Environment program. She has a special interest in environmental education and youth engagement. Over the course of her career, she has worked at national news outlets and contributed to environmental awareness through television, print, and radio. She also launched Brief's Our Blue Bahamas podcast, which airs weekly on Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Crystal holds a bachelor's degree in media journalism from the University of the Bahamas and continues to expand her expertise through ongoing work in communications, production, and environmental advocacy. She is especially committed to helping young people connect with the Bahamian environment and empowering them to express themselves through media. Outside of work, Crystal volunteers with various civic organizations. She enjoys snorkeling, reading, writing, and performing arts, and is always looking for ways to involve others in environmental and community-based projects. That is our last panelist that I'm inviting to the stage. A round of applause for Mrs. Crystal Darling Sargent.
Can we get a mic check for the mics on the stage, please?
We're here today. Picture us in my living room. And I have these amazing guests with me. And, of course, you are guests as well. So this amazing panel, we're going to be talking about Planet Healthcare focus. We'll discuss the Bahamian healthcare through the lens of this year's theme by incorporating the insights gained from the presentation before and the recently approved HNAP. These panelists here in my living room, I'm going to ask them a few questions. And they will be able to share their insight from their perspective, right? Which is going to be amazing. We got media, we got mental health, we got science, we got the environment. This is really great. As a matter of fact, this speaks to how the Bahamas has changed over the last 50 years, that we have our own experts sitting on the stage. Please give them a hand. And someday, you in the audience will be on this panel as well. So listen carefully, right? With these questions, we will explore the tension of communicating this paradigm shift in healthcare due to climate change to the young people as well. So first of all, I want to thank Mr. Luke James Trim for sharing this morning. Youth are the architects of a better world. Youth are the architects. And so as we think about youth being the architects, I want each panelist to tell me, what does the phrase, the common health of the Bahamas, mean to you? What does that mean to you? And how would you describe the effects of climate change on our nation's common health? And I'll give you 1 minute. We won't start with Dr. Butler because she has the answer.
I guess
we'll start with the media woman. Yes.
Okay.
Ms. Darling.
Wonderful. My mic's on now. Okay, so the term common health of the Bahamas to me means it shows the connection between the community of the Bahamas, the people, and our natural resources. And we have to work together to ensure that we protect them. It can't just be one or the other. We can't prioritize us over our environment because that has terrible effects. As far as climate change, it does I would describe that as severe damage to our ecosystems that we heavily rely on, for example, coral reefs and mangroves. And
Tell me how it affects the media.
the media.
Yeah.
Okay, so I loved that you mentioned earlier that in 50 years we've come a long way, because when I first started working in journalism at the Broadcasting Corporation of the Bahamas, there weren't much stories on environment, right? And I did a lot of environmental stories, and that's how I got into it. And I spoke to Jerome Sawyer about it, and he was telling me that this isn't something that was in news in his day, right? When he started, he was like, these are new topics, and so it's good that nowadays these are things that we're focusing on and we're talking more about, and we can do it as well, even if we're not reporters or in the news. As citizens and as students, we have so much at our fingertips.
Yes.
Technology has evolved. You can use your social media profiles
Now, don't go too
to
far
communicate.
Let them learn it later.
To communicate a message about conservation and sustainability. So that's something that's very important as well.
Yes, that's great. So we're going to move on to our mental health expert, Ms. Johnson. I have to disclose that I know almost all of these people on the stage personally. I've worked with them, and they are just amazing people. So tell us, what does that phrase, common health of the Bahamas, mean to you? And how would you describe the effects of the common health, in particular when it comes to mental health?
Good morning, everybody. Really pleased to be here. So when I think about common health of the Bahamas, I love that play on words. I really think about that interconnectedness, that shared really experience. And we have to also remember that health is something that's impacted on many levels. We're talking about not just people, we're talking about planet. We're talking about mental impacts, emotional impacts, physical impacts, environmental impacts. And so we all have to remember that it's not just about people, it's about our community and it's about our planet, our country as well. And so when it comes to mental health, I mean, boy, climate change and mental health, it really was piquing my interest post-Dorian. That was when I did a lot of post-Dorian therapeutic individuals who had survived or been first responders to the storm. And so I could really talk about climate change and mental health all day. We could have a whole conference on that.
Let's do that. Let's do that.
Next time, you know where to find me. But we also have to remember that, even recovery aspects, there's a lot of prolonged stress when it comes to recovery actions. And we really have to prioritize mental health as part of our recovery aspects and our resilience aspects in climate change, climate justice, climate action, because there really is no health without mental health. And it really should be prioritized more because that's something that's universal to all of us, isn't it? It's something that we really do not give the appropriate platform to, but I'm really excited to be here to give a platform to it and just really seeing how it's a common thread that connects us all. Thank you.
Great. Okay, for your mental health, everybody out there, take a deep breath in. Hold it. 4, 3, 2, 1. Release it. 4, 3, 2, 1. One more time. Feel it go to your brain. Feel the tingling in your brain. Out. Now, those who are not doing it, you're not going to feel the tingling in your brain. I could see, I could see. All right? So just even that, taking deep breaths in, holding and releasing helps to give the brain the oxygen it needs, and then you can pay attention to what these people are saying. So we can go on to the next person. Okay, Mr. Garth Jackson. We, in the science, we were in science, microbiology back in the day.
Definitely.
Go for your bad self.
Yeah.
Tell us now about this common health and what it means to you.
So good morning, everyone. So I operate in the capacity of representing the Bahamas National Trust. And for those who may be unaware, the Bahamas National Trust, we manage 33 national parks across the Bahamas.
Wow.
So, of course, common health is a play on our term commonwealth. Commonwealth referring to economic stability. Of course, common health, meaning ensuring that all of us that are here, we live together with our environment, ensuring the sustenance of our environment. So of course, with common health, we want to ensure that ourselves, as humans, in our environment as well, we're able to thrive together. So that's definitely something that we try to emphasize within the Bahamas National Trust when we have students that come from many different islands, many different schools. When they come to the parks, they get an opportunity to appreciate, what we have out there. Although we may just drive past the bushes all the time, and we may call them bushes, we may say not a lot is living there, but definitely we want to increase awareness. And I love the fact that your theme this week talks about from creating awareness, transitioning from awareness to action. That's definitely something that we like to emphasize at the Bahamas National Trust.
Great. And just reminding you the theme of this panel, Common Health, Centering People plus Planet in Bahamian Healthcare. And of course, we go to our final expert, presenter, Dr. Lowe.
Thank you, Dr.
Yes.
Philippe. Hello
Common Health
again,
of the Bahamas.
everyone.
Mm-hmm.
So, common health. So let's think for a minute about the health of the nation being connected to the wealth of a nation, right? If you're not well, if you're plagued with chronic illnesses, asthma, diabetes, hypertension, your quality of life is going to diminish, is going to decline. Your capacity and your ability to work and be productive is going to take a hit. The economic productivity and stability of the community and of the country as a whole is going to take a hit. When you think about the planet and the planet being unwell and ill and sick, and you have these raging storms and floods and extreme heat, right? What does that do now to the country, to our islands, to our communities, to our everyday of life of you guys going to school and to university? So they're all interconnected. Common health and common wealth, like you said. It's really a play on words, but it's so much more than that. And, we know what the problems are, but sometimes it's just being so much more acutely aware of what's happening in the now that needs to happen. And so that is my take on common wealth and common health in our Bahamian context.
Great. How many people like it when it's really, really hot? Raise your hand. Hello, one.
Oh boy.
Okay, what happens when it's really, really hot? How do you feel? Tired, right? You're fatigued, you're angry, frustrated, right? With the extreme temperature and extreme heat, particularly as young people, this can affect your attitude, in school if it's really hot. How many people prefer to sit at the beach, under a tree when it's cool, or stand up in when you have one of those things in the morning in the hot sun? The beach, right. Again, that helps your mental health, right? So this is very important for young people to know. So we're going to talk and ask some more questions of this panel list. So, Dr. Butler, I'm going to go to Mr. Jackson. Is climate change really negatively impacting the native plant species, right? And what are the implications of this for cultural healthcare practices? Because, we like bush medicine.
Yeah.
I just pulled out some cerasee, just boiled some 5-finger, and, all of those things. And I want to know if I could go in the bush and get my bush medicine due to this climate change. Tell me.
Awesome. That's a very, very deep question, Dr. Philippe. And when we talk about climate change and how climate change affects our native plants, like you suggested a little bit earlier, so we, as Bahamians, we're connected to our fever grass, our strongback, our cerasee. And what we have noticed in time is that the changes in weather patterns, of course, they're affecting. When we talk about storms, we've experienced several storms in recent times. Dorian, we've experienced Matthew, Irma. So all of these hurricanes, definitely, they are setting back the growth of our plants, definitely. And I think that oftentimes the elephant in the room is we are so connected with these plants and how they're able to assist us with our common illnesses, right? When these plants are no longer there, then we have to resort to pharmaceutical secondary options.
Yeah.
And definitely, I think we as panelists, we don't get an opportunity to appreciate those in the rural areas and how they may not be as connected to the accessibility of these things. So definitely that's something that we want to keep in mind. And then also access allows the ability for knowledge transfer, right? So if something is available and you have an option to use it, we will be more likely to use it.
Yeah.
Therefore, that knowledge would be shared amongst future generations. But when it's no longer there,
Yeah.
who is there to teach our youth about these, these at-home method, these
Yeah.
traditional medicines? So those are things that we think about all the time. And then, of course, our invasive species. They're always there, right? And they are...
Name me two, so people
Right?
would know.
So we can talk about Brazilian pepper, and we can also talk about Australian pine, right? If you clear down land, if a hurricane comes and a hurricane just tears down a piece of land, they are opportunists. So they will outcompete our native plants. So where you have our Australian pines, and you see them all the time as you ride along the road, they grow in packs because they grow very fast and they limit the growth of our traditional, our native plants.
Okay.
So that's something that you have to take into consideration when you talk about our long-term, the long-term ability of our native plants being able to grow within parks and out of parks too.
Great.
Definitely.
Thank you. Give him a hand, yes.
I guess I said
How many people know out there about sugar apple, canap, juju, five finger, strong back? Oh, you see? They don't know. They're gonna need to know. So we need you to save the trees and make sure they know about these bush medicine.
And
Okay.
oftentimes, and I'll also add this, oftentimes our education department, twice a year, we hold a bush tea event, where
Okay.
we invite students, we invite adults to our parks, and we try to educate them on the benefits of our native plants. So
All
that's
right.
something that you can take advantage of sometime in the future.
Go to that event. So trees, seas.
Yes.
Yes.
Seas.
Seas. How is climate change affecting the health of coastal and marine ecosystems in the Bahamas? I want to go to the beach. I want to go to no rock.
Oh, well, so what we call the rocks sometimes, those are very important ecosystems as well.
Tell me.
We call those our rocky shores. So our rocky shores are very important ecosystems, and they have, we like to make whelks, curds and whelk salad. Yeah, that's where we find them. A lot of them are on our rocky shores. That's
Right.
their home.
Okay.
So that's very important. Also, when we talk about hurricanes, they break the storm wave energy. So they're breaking the waves. So we don't want to lose our rocky shores. We can also think about sea level rise causing coastal erosion, which is also a serious concern, and marine ecosystems. So we have coral bleaching. So climate change, warm temperature, warmer oceans, coral bleaching happens when it gets really hot. So just like how everybody in here gets stressed out when you're in the sun too long and everything's still warm, corals get stressed too. And they basically starve to death because they're so stressed out. They can't maintain the relationship with their symbiotic algae that helps them to provide food.
So they get like a bleach when people bleach their hair.
They get a bleach because it's so hot, and they lose the algae
Okay.
that helps them to get food, because corals are animals, but they can't move. So they have algae that gets their food for them. When that algae when the corals get stressed, they release the algae.
Oh.
And so they turn white, and they get very brittle and frail.
Oh, that's
They're
sad.
basically starving to death.
Oh my.
And if the temperature doesn't get cool enough faster, they can die.
Oh.
So that's a serious issue. And coral reefs are our first line of defense in strong storms and hurricanes. They break up to 97% of storm wave energy.
Wow.
So when we have big hurricanes and storm surge and even king tides, natural disasters in general, our coral reefs are that first line of defense. We also have, like I said, rocky shores.
Great.
sandy shores and sand dunes, and we have seagrass beds
Wow.
and mangroves,
We got it
which
all.
are super important. And they're all at risk. And like Garth said earlier, when they're knocked down and they can't grow fast enough before the next major storm approaches. Right? The frequency and the rate of these hurricanes are unprecedented.
Yeah.
So because of climate change. So that really has a significant negative impact. And like the Australian pine or casuarina trees, that's the Australian pine, they take advantage of everything. They just start growing. And they grow really quickly.
So we're concerned about our trees. We're concerned about the coast. So tell me more about health, Dr. Butler. What challenges can be expected when working at the intersection of climate change and health in the Bahamas? And, well, before we get there, let's talk about the mental health, right, aspect. And then you could summarize. So people have been impacted by Dorian still. They're feeling anxious. I've heard that, when people hear the rain or a storm is coming, they feel anxious. Tell us more about climate anxiety and how might it be affecting Bahamians across different generations?
Sure. So as we know, Dorian was our big ticket hurricane, the strongest hurricane on our country's record. But let's not forget that we have been experiencing strong hurricanes for years. I mean, the earliest one that I can remember is Andrew. And then we've had Matthew, Joaquin, Irma. We just had one a couple years back as well that were also strong. So let's not just think that it was just Dorian, but Dorian was the one that really blew the lid off and really exposed the mental health impact of climate change and extreme weather events. So regarding climate anxiety, something I really love about the field of mental health is that it's always evolving. And so even the language that we use evolves. We really do tend to say more so climate distress now, because that is very much encompassing of all ranges of emotions, not just specifically anxiety. So climate distress is a real psychological response to either witnessing, anticipating, or even just simply having knowledge of the impact of climate change on our planet and on ourselves. And so all of us who care about the planet and all of us here who care about what climate change is doing to us and our world, all of us have experienced climate distress at some point because it's heavy. Wow. It really is heavy. This is the human impact. This is the human aspect of what we are dealing with. And so with regard to Bahamians and generational, how different generations are experiencing climate distress, I'll start with our elders, right? So our elders are the ones who have the least information and knowledge about climate change, right? But even though they have been around the longest, they are the ones that have seen the most. And so in seeing the degradation of their homesteads, they may not have the language to use, they may not verbalize it as much, but there is still that silent stress that they carry. And then adults, they might be feeling a lot of grief or guilt because of perhaps their lack of intervention or their own role in creating the climate crisis. And then also, the guilt in passing on a vulnerable planet to youth. And so for youth, the overarching emotional realm is just really a lot of overwhelm, a lot of fear. I did a presentation called The Fear of No Future, which was about the youth mental health impact. And honestly, globally, the kids are not all right, because it's really scary to think about the fact that they might not have a gorgeous planet to inherit. They may not have the future that we've all been told it's our birthright, we're going to have a family, we're going to have kids, we're going to have all of that. But that's not really the case. And so those are some of the different generational impacts of mental health on climate change. And it really is a huge concept. It really is very much pervasive. And like I said, we don't talk about it enough. And it's just something that impacts all of us. And just so to be able to be more aware and just be like, you know what, let me just think about how I really feel. All of us here are activists. All of us here are people who are on the front line. All of us here care. And so because we care, there's emotion behind that. And whenever there's emotion behind anything, we're vulnerable, right? And so it's really important that we take care of ourselves as we advocate for climate resilience and action.
So you definitely see the intersection between climate change and mental health in the Bahamas.
Yes, absolutely. And
Okay.
not just with hurricanes, other extreme weather events. For example, there were some bushfires on Adelaide Road, where I live, legitimately across the street from me. And so now I'm having climate distress about the fact that these are getting closer to home, like legitimately across my road. I was on the phone with the fire department being like, y'all send somebody out here, please.
Yeah.
Because, you know, with the increased periods of drought, because of climate change, these things are happening more and more. And so, yes, I'm definitely seeing the impact.
So, Dr. Butler,
Hi.
you've heard the trees crying, right? The ocean crying, the coral reef crying, the people are crying, and all of this is related to health, right? And so now, what challenges can be expected when working on the intersection of climate change and health in the Bahamas? And how will the implementation of the HNAP address the specific challenges in your sector?
So some of the challenges that we expect with this intersection between climate change and health are all of the things that my panelists have talked about. And then more specifically to human health, heat is such a huge factor in climate change that we are dealing with globally, in the Caribbean, and right here in the Bahamas. I talked about our heat health bulletin in my little speech before we started our panel discussion, and the purpose of that bulletin is really to drive home the message that we are experiencing a heat wave at this time, and the temperature that you feel is even hotter than it is, which is the heat index. And during those periods, we want you to take special precautions. We want you to be consciously aware that you need to hydrate and take in more fluids. We want you to ensure that when you get dressed in the morning that you consider wearing your light-colored, loose-fitting clothing. Take a hat, take an umbrella, because the heat is very different than it used to be previous years ago in the last climate. You know, climate cycles are about 30 years, and the people in the room that are older than 30 and aware about the past 30 years can tell you that the heat today is very different from 30 years ago. Not just heat in terms of our bodies, heat is also affecting the ocean waters and the temperatures, and that affects our food. You know, we love seafood, we love our grouper, our snapper, our conch. When the water gets more hot, you know, the marine life has challenges surviving and adapting to those temperatures, and then we intake that food and then we could get sick. So it's a lot to consider when we talk about heat and the way climate is changing that. Another thing that I want to talk about is the hurricanes that were also once mentioned, but by extension, with hurricanes come floodwaters, and with floodwaters there's increased risk of waterborne diseases. There's cholera, there's vector-borne diseases like leptospirosis, and which
Dengue.
yeah, the rats, and dengue from the mosquitoes and other diseases. So it's very important, you know, to be so aware of the space that we're living in and take the advice of the health professionals over social media and over all the news channels and all the news medias. And this is what we need to drive home, that this is indeed happening, and the challenge is getting Bahamians to buy in that this is real,
Okay.
right? And we need to mitigate, we need to adapt, we need to find ways to live with this new norm.
All
And
right.
so that is the big challenge that I feel we will face with the implementation and the rolling out of the HNAP. But the HNAP is designed to come full circle. It's
Okay.
health and climate in all policies.
Okay.
We're retrofitting all our clinics and our hospitals. We're making them more climate resilient, right?
Okay.
We're educating the public. We're educating our young people. We're building human capacity. And these are the things that we're doing. Even our leaders, you know, we think they know it all, but sometimes they need to hear it from the experts, right?
Yeah.
So we're educating them too, leadership and governance. So these are the aspects of the HNAP that are rolling out, and we encourage your involvement. We want your engagement. There was a QR code for our Facebook page at the Ministry of Health and Wellness, the Climate Change and Health Unit. I encourage each and every one of you to sign up and join the page and follow us, and our partners as well,
so that we could do some collaborations moving forward. Thank you.
Great, that's awesome. All right, panelists, you need to stand up. We've been sitting too long. You guys stand up for a minute for me, please, and shake your leg. We can't be sitting this long. The brain starts to freeze. And then hands up, all the way down, up. Oh, stretch it out. Down. Okay, we're on the stretch now. We're finishing up in a minute here. So, Mr. Jackson, climate change, you talked about the natural cycles, and it doesn't respect the boundaries of our protected areas. There's other people who don't respect our boundaries, but we're not going to talk about them today. Because people make the impact. Yes, okay. All right, Miss Darling, you're going to talk about those people?
If you want me
No,
to, I can run
wait.
through it really
How is
quickly.
BNT work being impacted by the extreme weather and other consequences of climate change? Because you talked about 33 protected parks. That means that there are 33 people on those parks protecting them, or 33 buildings on those parks.
Well, much more than
Oh,
that.
okay. So, how is BNT working to address the climate change impact on these 33 parks?
Awesome. So our moderators would have talked a little bit earlier about the many islands that are represented here today. And I just want to see a brief show of hands, who've heard of the National Trust before on their specific island? All right, beautiful. So that's a lot of you. So if you visited the parks before, I'm sure you had the opportunity to see the infrastructure that we're trying to get at the parks. You've had an opportunity to see the signage that's at the parks, the trailways, all of that. Now, all of that costs money. So when we have these storms that are impacting our country and our parks, of course, we have to then go in and repair these things. So what we try to do is to make these parks accessible to you so that you can have an opportunity to tour, you can have an opportunity to appreciate, and you can have some infrastructure that would allow people to be there to then guide you along the way. So that's definitely something that we've been working to mediate over the past few years, having to repair. Of course, whenever you take money from one thing and you put it into something else, it sets you back a little bit. And then, of course, when we talk about the environment as well, we have like we talked a little bit earlier about our conchs, our corals, our animals. They are being threatened by our increase in temperatures. And just recently, this is probably not connected to the park itself, but how we talked a little bit about the Prime Minister's office. They released a public statement saying that there's an increase in sea lice due to the increase in temperature. Right. So you're more likely to get attacked. I didn't take it too seriously. I thought, I'd go to the beach this past weekend. So definitely, you probably won't see my stomach, but if you take a look at my stomach, you'll definitely see that
sea lice were happy.
Sea lice were happy
They're
for
real.
me. So definitely it impacts the experience that we're able to provide students as well. And of course, all of these things we take into consideration because we do want to provide you with the best experience. We do want to provide you with the best infrastructure that possibly can be there. But of course, the increase in storms, the changes in habits of our animals, and of course, the threatening of our animals, it also impacts, a lot of the work that we do at the Bahamas National Trust.
So you want them to join and contribute, and you want to make sure that each of the panelists is a member of the Bahamas National Trust. How many people are here in the member of the Bahamas National Trust?
That's one.
Okay.
That's two.
There's
That's
not
three.
enough of us. So one of the challenge, even for me, I tried joining. They had a problem one year. We're going to join the Bahamas National Trust because that is one way to protect our country, is to be part of the team of protection and to put our money where our mouth is. Parks are important. If you went off to school anywhere, university is set in a park. If you're distressed, you could go and sit and relax. It's important for our mental health. So why is a healthy environment necessary for the mental health well-being of Bahamians? I'm going to come to you. But I want you to know that extreme heat is when the temperature is 90 degrees Fahrenheit for 2 to 3 days. How many people have experienced that? Right. So remember what Dr. Lowe talked about, Dr. Butler, making sure you hydrate, light clothing, because we're in the middle of extreme heat days, even more so, and you could get very impacted. So tell me, the parks are important for our mental health. Ms. Johnson, why is that?
Absolutely. I love this question, and I really think that all of us as Bahamians should be passionate about this question because we have access to medicine at our fingertips. We live in a stunningly beautiful country. Like, every day I live here is just like, we are gorgeous. The astronauts, them? Yes, round of applause for the Bahamas. That's right. Even the astronauts say they always know they are over the Bahamas because we are just so stunning from space.
It is.
Our water, they say, look like Listerine. It is that blue, it is that clear, and we know this intimately, right? So we really have medicine at our fingertips. Nature is medicine. Y'all can't tell me you don't feel boosted when you spend a day at the beach or in one of our national parks or snorkeling with Brief, right? So it's really true. It really does boost our mental health. Nature is good for the spirit, and when the spirit is boosted, our mental health is amplified. So time in nature, green space, blue waters, that really does good things for our mood. It does good things for our cognitive health, our brain health, not just our mental health, like our feelings, thoughts, and behaviors, but our cognitive health as well, so how our brain is actually functioning. So there's multiple reasons why a healthy environment is so important for good mental health. It was my birthday actually yesterday over the weekend.
Happy birthday to you.
Thank you.
Happy birthday to you.
Cancer season is here. But over the weekend, I spent literally all day on the beach with my friends from like 12 to 8 p.m. And I felt rejuvenated. I really did. It was really good for all of our mental health. Everybody was like, Christina, it was such a good day. And huge impact of that is because it was just a naturally beautiful space to be in. And so I really urge all of you to take advantage of going outside, hitting the beach. It's hot, I know it, but the beach is great. Our national parks are beautiful as well. And just know that you're doing something good for yourself and your mental health when you do so.
And there's also something called grounding that they've studied. That back in the day, when we were younger, we would go outside and run up and down in the yard, or when we went to San Salvador or Rumkey. So your feet touching the ground allows the ions in your body to get stabilized, and you feel much more happier. So even if you did, 15 minutes a day of just sitting and placing your feet on the bare earth, you will feel a change in your body and you'll feel more stable. We need to get back to being grounded in the earth.
Very true.
Recognizing that, we talked about the marine ecosystem, the bleaching of the coral reef. That's really sad. I had a chance to do a marine biology course in San Salvador, and snorkeling, I was able to hear the parrotfish nibbling on, the coral. I was able to see staghorn corals, 6 feet, 7 feet tall, brown, all the beautiful colors. What are the public health consequences of this marine ecosystem degradation in the Bahamas?
Okay, so first of all, I'm going to go back a little bit, and I'm going to talk about we have an acronym at Brief that we use in many presentations called CHOP IT. Can everyone say CHOP IT?
Chop it.
CHOP IT.
Chop it.
So CHOP IT
Hold on.
stands for CHOP IT.
Okay.
Okay, CHOP
Good.
IT. So CHOP IT stands for climate change,
Climate change.
habitat loss,
Habitat loss.
overfishing, pollution, invasive species, and illegal trade. So trade, but illegal trade. And now we're looking at disease because we have stony coral tissue loss disease, which is really bad for our coral reefs. And our coral reefs are also very significant culturally and economically because they are the homes for many of our, including the nursery, the mangoes as a nursery. The coral reefs is kind of like the second stage. And so those are the homes for all of our marine life, basically, but economically and culturally important species like the Nassau grouper, the queen conch, and the spiny lobster, right? Which are really, really important to us. When we look at the damage that can be done when we remove the ecosystems that I would have mentioned earlier, our rocky shores, our coral reefs, the mangroves, those things, when we have strong storm surge, hurricanes, things like that, we can see damage to our personal property. So the flooding, our cars, our homes, our shelters, our hospitals. The hospital was flooded in Grand Bahama in Dorian.
Yes.
You know,
Damaged.
that's public health care concern. Those things could lead to public health crises. Also, utilities like power. If you don't have your home anymore, then you're vulnerable, right? You don't have anywhere to get electricity or clean water. And we know that could be very devastating. Also, economic damage, workers in fisheries, tourism, agriculture, they face economic issues and which may obstruct their access to proper sanitation, right? And then pollution. So we talk about microplastics, right? In our fish and in our food. We all have microplastics in us nowadays. That's how much plastics have really devastated our society. Then we have air pollution when we think about transportation, like cruise ships, which are really terrible for our air quality. Then oil, right? Oil spills and chemical spills in the water that we swim in. Like you said, you know, we like to go to the beach and everything. We're swimming in contaminated water sometimes. And then freshwater lenses and the food that we eat. The fish, right? You can't have Easter without fish. So it really impacts us on a personal level, although we don't see it like that. And all of those things become problems when we don't take care of our environment.
Wow. So now we're coming in for a landing, you know. How can we move this conversation from what needs to be done? We've heard about all the challenges and how it can be done, particularly with young people. You are looking back on growing up, and now you're looking to the future of growing up, and what kind of future and what kind of Bahamas do you want, right? That's very important. Even your local environment, how clean is your local environment? You talked about pollution. You know, are we cleaning up? Are we throwing away the garbage? Are we throwing it out the window as we drive by in somebody's yard or in the forest? A bottle that can be broken, that can increase forest fires, like all of these things are important. So, so what is one action? I'm gonna ask the panelists, one action. Do, 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 do. The Bahamas, in particular young people, should take now to safeguard the common health of our nation. What is one action the Bahamas, in particular young people, should take now to safeguard the common health of our nation? Take a deep breath in. That's very good. We will start with our media expert. Yeah.
Again? Okay.
I mean, I could start with her, Dan. You want me to start with her?
No,
But she's the
fine.
help.
I'm
she's the
ready.
help. Yeah, you ready? I know you're ready. Media always ready.
Okay. So I think at Brief, we've been very clear over the past several years that we've been advocating for a ban on oil drilling in the Bahamas. Ooh. Exploratory oil drilling, the chemicals used, the equipment used has terrible toxic impacts on our fisheries and can have terrible impacts on our human health as well. Also, we can help by advocating for marine protected areas like our national parks.
One area.
Sorry.
Choose one.
Oh, sorry.
And tell them what to do.
Okay, so use less plastics. Okay, that always helps. And beach
How are they going to do
cleanups.
that? How are they going to use less plastics?
Okay, so for one, plastic water bottles. It's hot, it's summer, everybody has plastic water bottles, like, but you can refill your water bottle every day before you go out the house, and you will save money, and you will also not have to worry about a bunch of plastic bottles all over your car, your house.
But there are plastic water
garbage
bottles
bins.
in the store.
Pardon?
There are plastic water bottles.
Yes, there are plastic water bottles.
So
in
what
the
do we do
store,
about that?
But you don't have to use them. So it's about driving down the demand.
Okay.
And so they see that, okay, less people are purchasing plastic water bottles.
So you want these
You're getting
young
bigger.
people
Yes.
to tell their parents to stop buying plastic bottles?
Yeah, plastic water bottles. You can get a 5-gallon bottle,
Okay.
and you can refill, or you can get a gallon bottle. You can refill your water over and over and over again with that.
Okay.
If you work in an office or in an enclosed area with a fridge that has water in it already, then you have no need for that plastic bottle. You can bring a water bottle that you can refill over and over
So
again.
the goal is to stop the food stores from buying plastic bottles.
The goal is to like drive down the demand.
Drive down the
so that we
demand.
could see less plastics on our beaches,
Okay.
less filling up our garbage cans,
Okay.
all of those.
So can you guys do that? You think you can do that? You know how to do that, right? You nag your parents and you tell them, I just went to this conference and we are going to drive down the use of plastic bottles. So we only buy in 5-gallon and we're going to reuse. That's what
You're going to reuse your water
Okay,
bottle. Not the
okay.
plastic
So
ones.
that's
You're going
one.
to buy a reusable
So,
one. Yeah.
BYCC, what we would like you to do is make sure all of these young people, they're on a list, and you check to see how many people have just reusing water, the bottle, if they did that for a week.
Okay.
2 weeks, 3 weeks. Action, right? You're talking
Yes,
about
that's
action.
good climate action.
Okay, that's a good climate action. We got that one. So next year when we come, we would be able to say we were able to drive down.
Yeah.
Okay. Second, let's try this next one. That's a good example, so you could tell us.
Me next.
Mental health, yeah. What is the action?
Okay, so I have friends and colleagues who go to big climate events, climate conferences,
Yeah.
like COP, and I
What is
always
COP?
ask, pardon?
COP. COP out? Is it a COP out meeting?
Mental health is a cop out at these
Okay,
meetings.
but the COP, you said COP, so
unfortunately.
tell us what COP, the
You'll-
Conference of Parties?
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah.
So everybody would be familiar about this, as we are all climate advocates, climate change, justice supporters. And so what happens at these conferences, so I've heard, because I've never been invited to one, is that mental health is not given a priority platform. And I don't really understand that, because like I've been saying all this platform, mental health is everybody's business. There's no health without mental health. And so there's like a little tiny snippet in like the health portion of the COP events and things like that. But there's nothing that's really amplified. So what I want, the call to action for you as youth who will be stepping into these leadership roles, embed mental health considerations into every layer of climate strategy.
Okay,
right?
how are they going to do that? You want them to write a letter at their school? Do you want them to advocate? So if we have schools, they would write a letter and then they would get people to agree, so that the Bahamas now needs to put mental health on the agenda for COP 30.
Petition about it. Why not? I'm behind that suggestion.
No, tell
Fully.
them what to do. See,
Sure.
we talking, we need, what is the action that
Sure.
the young people and the old people out there, any old people out there? Oh, older person, all right, we're represented. Whew. What
So-
do we need to do?
First and foremost, it
Yeah.
all starts with you. And so taking care of your own mental health is important, but also being a mental health advocate in general. So really doing your part to fight stigma
Okay,
as
you
well.
got in a lot of things.
Okay.
One action, you said you want mental health on the agenda for COP,
Okay.
the next COP. The Bahamas is a member of COP, and we can put things on the agenda.
Okay.
And young people here are powerful voices, right? And we can advocate the young people in this group to ask BYCC, they're here somewhere, to put this on the agenda for the next COP.
Okay.
That's
So
it.
yes, BYCC, whoever the organizers are, the personnel for that, really advocate to get mental health as more of a priority. Because this is one thing that I'm pleased to say, you know, seeing mental health as a public health priority in the Ministry of Health and Wellness now, that was because of the climate-related events that our country has been through, the
Excellent.
pandemic and Dorian. And so because of this, this is the kind of like springboard that you guys can use to really have, back up your petition, because a
All
lot
right, so
doesn't happen.
Petition. Okay, so we had reducing plastics. We got a petition for mental health on the next COP agenda, Conference of Parties agenda. It's getting better. It's getting better. We're getting
Hopefully I can live up to
action.
it.
What are we going to do, Mr. Jackson?
Definitely. So,
Sorry, Ms. Johnson was not finished. Ms. Johnson,
sorry.
please.
So all I was really saying
Yes.
is use that as a springboard. Just really use what you are seeing. Hey, you know what? Mental health has been more of a priority for the country in public health. So why do we not use this to take it to an international, global level as well? We can really be change makers. We can really lead the charge in considering mental health more globally, even regionally as small island developing state. We can really be the ones to be.
So Ms. Johnson is going to be the one,
I can.
yes, to help the young people. Make
Happy
sure.
to assist.
All right then, Ms. Johnson. Miss Darling Brief is going to make sure we drive down plastics and water bottles. Mr. Jackson?
So a mentor of mine always said, if you don't have money, if you can't give money, then you give your time.
Okay.
Now, I know that resonate with a lot of persons out here. Any millionaires in the audience? All right. Any 100,000aires? All right, so I know you.
Hold on. Who wants to be a millionaire out there? Okay, then. All right. So, guess what? You are a millionaire already because there's no lack, right? All right, so you got these millionaires.
So I'm not
Okay.
speaking to the millionaires then. Let me speak to the average. So if you can't give your money, then you give your time. Now, as previously as a science teacher, because I was in the classroom before, I assisted with the Eco Club. I headed the Eco Club, and we understood that ecosystem restoration is super, super, super important. So one of the things that I think you could take immediate action on is being a part of groups, whether it be in your school or the Bahamas National Trust, to assist in mangrove planting, to assist in tree planting, any opportunity where you get an opportunity to plant more trees and kind of restore areas that are not in the position that they should be in. You should definitely take advantage of those opportunities. And when you get a little bit older and you do become that millionaire, you know, that we can call on, we can tap on your door, we can knock on your door, we can
Tap
say,
on them now, man. They millionaires now.
remember, so if you can't give your money, then you give your time. So any opportunity that you have to assist in ecosystem restoration, you definitely want to take advantage of that.
Okay, so you have all these young people here. You want to make sure that you get their names so that you can help them.
Yes.
Because you can tell somebody, but also you can help them and make sure they get the information. BYCC will make sure they get all the opportunities from BNT,
Volunteer.
and you will have their names. So by next year, they'll all be involved.
Everyone put in at least an hour.
An hour.
An hour. At
An
least
hour
1
a week?
1 hour a week. Let's do
A
that
week.
then. Let's do that.
So commitment to 1 hour a week. Can I see a commitment going once, twice? Yes. So Mr. Garth Jackson, what I would suggest you do is you put out what they can do 1 hour a week.
On their part.
We're going to wrap up, and then we're coming to the public. We're coming to you in the living room here to ask questions, so get prepared. And then there are prizes with the questions. Dr. One.
my turn.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. What they can do. I think you told them already
Yeah,
that they need to, tell them again, that they need to sign up.
right. So, guys, everyone needs to scan the QR code and join the Ministry of Health and Wellness Climate Change and Health Facebook page, okay? Stay informed, get active, show support, let us know what you're doing. And if I could leave you with one thing, it would be, I would challenge you for a shift in your mindset, right? And the shift in your mindset is, one, what does climate change mean to me? Does it even mean anything?
Mm-hmm.
Does climate change affect my health? Will it affect my health? Can it affect or impact my health?
So that's two
That's
things.
just-
You want them to do some reflection
Right.
in the bush,
Wherever they
right?
feel
Right, or on the
most-
beach.
On the
Yes.
beach.
In the water.
Yeah.
Or in the water.
Yes.
So do your reflection about climate change and your health
Yes.
in a national park. Go to a national park, do that reflection, look at that national park, recognize that national park is tied to your health. The oxygen and everything is coming out of there. Go to the marine, know the fish and the conch is coming out of the waters, that's tied to your health. Take a mental health break, ground yourself, and do something.
Yes.
Make a difference.
Do something.
Yes,
Yes.
you can. and questions are thrown out to the audience. Is there a mic in the audience? Yes, Mr. Rich Hub. Yes, sir. I'm reading your shirt from here. That means my eyes are working. Rich time, rich enter, rich. What's your shirt say?
It's a rich club.
Rich Club, oh yeah, that's our
Rich
millionaire.
Club. There's the millionaire, the billionaire right there. And your name, sir, and which island are you representing?
I am from Auckland. My name is
Auckland,
Manis.
beautiful. I've been there. Yes, give him a hand. That's coming from far. 3 hours
An
flight?
hour and 10 minutes.
Okay, hour and 10 minutes. Wow.
Okay, I have a question. Is there any programs to regrow the coral that has been damaged in the Bahamas?
Is there a program to regrow the coral that has
Yes.
been damaged in the Bahamas? Great
Yes.
question.
Yeah.
And this second question is, what can he do to help regrow the coral?
Okay.
Yeah, he didn't say that, but it's in there.
Okay, so at Brief, we do coral restoration. We have the Coral Reef Sculpture Garden. I don't know if you ever heard about it. At Clifton Heritage Park. Have you ever been to Clifton? And the waters out in the back of Clifton Heritage Park in Nassau. We have the Ocean Atlas and a whole bunch of sculptures that we put in there around 2014 for corals to grow on. So that's a part of coral restoration. We also have partner organizations that assist with fighting stony coral tissue loss disease that could, stop the corals from getting sick. And we do coral outplanting. So just in February, every so often, at certain times of the year, when the temperature is right, we do coral restoration. So I'm not sure if you're familiar with fragmenting. So what we do is we go to a healthy coral and we take a piece of that.
I heard about it before.
Okay, yes. And so you need a special dive certification to do that. And Brief also has a way that you can do that, but you need a specialized certification. But in the short term, what you can do is learn more. I think raising awareness with young people until you get to the point when you're able to physically go there and do the coral restoration. Now, we've had our best program, the Bahamas Environmental Stewardship Scholar, and you can check that out. You can call us at Brief. Just go online and Google us, and you can give us a call, and you could ask about that internship. That is for senior high students and students who want to take a gap year before college to participate in, and you do get your reef rescue certification in that course, and you spend a semester at the island school in Cape Eleuthera where they teach you how to grow corals in different ways, and we also have partnership with Coral Vita in Grand Bahama as well. Yeah, Coral Vita, woo! Where our students have also done coral restoration in those places as well. So call us at Brief, send us an email at breef.org, and follow us. Everybody in here could follow us at Brief242, BREEF242 on Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn.
Okay, thank you so much. That answered my question.
And do you need more people to register for Brief?
So for the program,
Yeah.
I believe it opens in the spring, the registration. So that's not yet, but he can call and get more information from our outreach team
Awesome.
on communication.
All right.
So if he calls, he'll get the information he needs.
Yes, I see you in the white hoodie. Thank you so much, sir. And you got your gift. Tell us your name. A gentleman didn't tell us. I didn't get his name, but you could tell us your name.
Name?
Yes, your name. Manis. Thank you so much, Manis, for standing up and asking that question. It's awesome. Yes, young lady, and what's your name?
My name is Alicia Dryden.
And you're from which island?
New Providence.
Woo! NP. Go for your bad self.
I want to know what inspired each of y'all to pursue y'all careers.
In general or in climate change?
In general, well, a bit of both.
Okay. What inspired you to pursue your career?
Okay, let me go first.
Okay, there you go.
I think I always knew I wanted to be a doctor. I don't know, maybe ER. Anybody remember the ER? I don't
Yes,
know.
yeah. Dates ourselves.
Yeah, but the short version is came out of high school, went into COB, took a break, life happened, decided to go back, did it, went to medical school, did medicine.
But before that, you were
a flight attendant.
Okay.
Yeah, so life happened, but came back full circle to my passion, which is medicine, emergency medicine. COVID happened, and in that, I saw the other side of medicine, the big picture, public health, policy, and all those interconnectivities that aligned with emergency medicine for me. And out of that came climate change. And so I work in the Ministry of Health and Wellness in an administrative capacity, in the office of the CMO, one of my portfolios being climate change and health, and it is so rewarding because you're shaping the policies for the future.
Yes.
What we do today is going to impact generations from now. So yeah, that's why I do what I do.
All right. The rose among the thorn. You're the rose among the thorn. The rest of us, it's one man and all these women. So it's flipped.
Okay, I'll try my best to answer your question. Now, I think the path is not always clear, and I'm definitely a testament to that. I thought I was going to be so much other things, so many other things. I eventually found my way into education, and I spent some time in education, and I had an opportunity to participate in very similar volunteering for opportunities where you get to appreciate what goes on behind the scenes when it comes to conservation, when it comes to sustainability, and then also as an eco club leader. That was definitely something that was impactful as well. And I thought to myself, you know what? I can probably do this. I can probably work full time in this space. So eventually I transitioned to an outreach officer. So I had an opportunity to be kind of like an ambassador for my organization, going to schools, going to events, going to stakeholder meetings, and kind of representing us. And then that made my way, once I got my project management certificate, that opened the door for me to be not only the advocate in the rooms that are kind of advocating for the National Trust, but also to be a part of the program and the project management areas for those grants, those opportunities that we have. So that made a way for it. So it wasn't a straight line for me at all. But what I would recommend is giving yourself the opportunity to learn a little bit more. Internship is super important. No matter how much you love it on television, you may see Grey's Anatomy, you may be like, this is what I love, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life.
It's not that.
Please spend time going to these places, spend time on the job. You're not going to be paid, but at least you get an opportunity to appreciate what the day-to-day looks like so you can figure out, do I want to do this full time?
Awesome. Thank you so much. Mental health.
As for me,
Ms. Johnson. Yeah.
As for me, I'm in a field that not a lot of Bahamians do pursue, but it's something that I've been interested from my final year of high school. We had the opportunity to take psychology as an elective, and I did, and I loved it. I've always been interested in human behavior, why people are the way they are, why humans are the way they are. So I pursued that for my bachelor's degree. And I'm kind of nerdy, so I was like, I'm going to go into it and do research. I want to be a professor. But then as part of my training, I had to do an intro to counseling. And I really found out that I have a true passion for the therapeutic aspect. So I went completely left from the research academia route to the interpersonal route. And so I'm a therapist now. I got a master's in marriage and family therapy because I believe relationships are really key. Our families, our romantic relationships, that really is the reason why our country is the way that we are. As well, relationships play a massive role in that. And then in terms of climate, I was just really found to provide therapy. As a therapist, they were looking for therapists to provide therapy post-Dorian. And then I realized, these hurricanes are not going to get any weaker. They're only going to get stronger. This is going to continue to happen. And I decided to equip myself further to be able to call myself a climate-aware therapist. That is an official designation that you can earn. I also have a credential in climate psychology. So I've really dedicated myself to this niche aspect of climate change and mental health because I see how it's impacted the country that I love. So that's really a bit of my story.
That's awesome.
Okay. I started off, the road wasn't always clear. Like, I didn't know exactly where I would end up, but I always knew that I wanted to teach and I wanted to learn. I love learning new things. So when I was in high school, I was president of the teaching cadets. I don't know if anyone's familiar with that or if that's still happening. And then I started with education when I came to COB, and I segued into journalism because I loved it. It's all teaching. It's all teaching. It's all teaching and learning. And then from that, started working at ZNS, and then moved to Eyewitness News, and then from that, did a lot of environmental stories, a lot of environmental journalism, and that's where I eventually segued into working full-time in the environmental space. So although it may not always be clear, beeline into what you want to do, you can always find a way to connect things that you love. And if you want to talk more later about youth programs and how you can get more involved, we have another program at Brief called the Young Reporters for the Environment program. So if you're interested in journalism or photography or videography or podcasting, you can talk to me about that too, and you can get into that.
Wow. Can old people join too? Older
No,
people?
no. We're from ages 11 to 25. So
That's
Hey,
discrimination.
I'm old as well.
That's
in that regard.
discrimination.
I'm too old for the program, but yeah.
Yes, we have 2 more questions. Yes, give us your name.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Sierra Saunders. I'm representing Jack Haywood Senior High School, which is a school in Grand Bahama.
Grand Bahama! Woo! Yeah.
So I have an important question specifically for Dr. Lonnell Butler. And as a doctor or as someone working in the healthcare system, what are the most common health issues or heat-related illnesses that most individuals experience in the Bahamas due to climate change or due to the rising temperatures and change in our weather patterns?
Thank you. So I would definitely say heat-related illnesses would be at the top. So we have your basic heat stroke. You have heat exhaustion. You also have dehydration. These things are often taken for granted. We just chop it up to being a hot day or, not having the time to, unwind, catch yourself, but it's real. And in young people especially, heat-related illnesses are something that they compensate very well in until they don't. You understand? And so you'll have someone kind of complaining, kind of looking unwell, but they're still pushing, they're still running, they're still doing the sport, they're still in class, they're still working, and then all of a sudden they become weak, unresponsive, clammy. That's when you've gone all the way to the extreme end of heat stroke, and that's what we definitely want to avoid. Your body tells us when something is wrong, we need to listen, right? So if you feel heated, you need to stop. You need to come in from out the heat, out the sun, and you're going to have to cool down. You're going to have to rest. Those things are important. As far as you said, storms and the change with climate and floods and stuff like that. I would say with storms, one of the big things that we take for granted is trauma. Right? There's a lot of injury that happens during and immediately post large storms, particularly hurricanes. So we ask persons to please be careful. If there are flood waters, you don't know what's in the water. You want to be careful how you're walking. Within our unit, we talked about putting out a PSA about the average Bahamian household having enough life jackets for each member. And one of the comments was, maybe that's a bit much, and then the other person or two were like, no, it's not, right? So that's something else that we're going to start putting out there, and it's really important. You don't know when the storm's going to be so bad that you can't stand, that you have to leave your home, and you may have to float, you understand? So these are the little things, and it's all about that whole consciousness shift and climate awareness. If you're aware, you're going to do things differently. You're going to see things differently, and you're going to stay safe. I hope I answered your question.
Yes, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
We have two quick questions. No, we have to wrap up. Oh, really? Sure. One more? Okay, combine those two people in one question. Go ahead. Yes.
I don't need a mic. I don't want to know why is it, or what is your opinion about the return on plastic bags and plastic straws?
Okay, we're gonna combine that very quickly with her
Well,
question.
good morning, everyone. My name is Kadia Johnson. I am from Eleuthera, and I wanted to I wanted to know, does climate change affect the spread of diseases?
So
Yeah.
I think maybe brief and Dr. Philippe should take that.
Okay,
real
then,
quick.
yes.
Yeah.
Okay, the spread of disease.
Yes, it does affect the spread of disease,
Yes.
right? With the increasing temperature, one of the vectors, which is a mosquito, they tend to have a longer lifespan in the heat. When you have lots of rain now, you are giving them a reservoir to grow, and so now you have more mosquitoes that are breeding. So that's a vector impact in terms of health, right? Then Dr. Lowe has talked about how heat affects the body's temperature, and the body then sweats. You get dizzy, you get dehydrated, so it's affecting your health. Then it affects your mental health as well. With reduction in water in your body, you get irritated, you get angry, your mental capacity is compromised. You can get dizzy, you get frustrated, you're not able to clearly think. So those are a couple of ways that it can affect your health as well, affect your kidney, could affect your whole body. In terms of plastics now, right? So plastics is the issue where human beings are utilizing plastics that end up in the water.
Yes, and to go back a little bit, damage to infrastructure as well.
Yes.
For public health. So like I said, if the public health facilities are compromised, then that's also a public health issue as well. With plastics, what was the question with plastic?
Doing about plastics. The U-turn.
Uh-huh. Yes, biodegradable. Yes. Okay. They break down faster, but plastics never really dissolve. So the whole concept behind us pushing for a ban on plastics and using less single-use plastics is because plastics are very damaging, and we want to slow down the culture of using single-use plastic. So use a reusable container to bring your lunch in, not foil and plastic bags and things like that. You can clean that up when you're done. Also, plastic bottles, I spoke about that earlier. Plastics never really break down. They take years, sometimes hundreds to thousands of years to break down, and even then, they just get smaller and smaller. And they end up being microplastics, and they go into your body. So reduce as many plastics as you can on a regular basis and try to reuse.
So that's it for our panelists. Give them a hand, give them a hand, give them a hand. It's been such a pleasure having you in our living room, and we hope that you would join us again someday.